Good afternoon, traders. This is Christian from our Trade Group, and this is your end of day market recap for Wednesday, October 2nd. Well, there was definitely a few positives, I think, on the tape today. Better than the first day of the trading month. No major downside. The VIX was actually down a little bit today. You had actually the semis were one of the best areas today and made the most gains for the day. So I'll get to some of the more of the market moves in just a second. Before I do that, risk disclaimer in front of you. Everything that we're going through is for information purposes only, not giving any advice or recommendations. Please read the full risk disclaimer right there. We, excuse me, we had a webinar last night too, where we kind of talked about, what's been happening in emerging markets in China and so forth, and some strategy talking about that, and strategy around how to trade with the value areas. And that said, let's dig into kind of what the valuers are showing us right now, as well as not so much the value areas and the moving averages, which I kind of use in conjunction together to kind of give me some levels to trade off. And then I'll mention a couple of names that I'm watching for tomorrow. So SPY, right? We started off the month moving down. We had a little bit of a like hammer bar today because indices did open up lower today and managed to claw back. Not any major upside momentum, but so here like we don't have a lot really that's close by. We've got the 20-day moving average, and we know that we're below the 5-period moving average, which to me, we were basically above that 5-period moving average for after the first week of September. For about 3 weeks, we were above that 5-period moving average. So there's a loss of momentum here, and we'll kind of have to see where this goes. Does price back up into the 20-day moving average, or do we come back and retake that 5-period moving average? I don't really have the answer for that. Of course, like I was hoping yesterday that we would get more downside follow through, because my perspective is that I think downside would be good for this market. I think there's too many people that are bullish. There's a lot of people that seem to be waiting for any dip to just go out and start buying a little bit. But I think it would shake things up, and that's why I'm rooting for. I'm not bearish, but I'm just rooting for a little bit more downside, because I think you'll just see more trading opportunities that come from it. But it doesn't matter what I think. That's just something that I think would come in handy. And again, the other reason why I say that is because every time that we've had, a little bit more than a 1-day dip, it's been bought, and it's been bought rather quickly. See the first week of September, and of course, see what happened there the first week of August, which was a little bit more downside. But those dips were bought very quick, and I think a lot of people are thinking that too, not just myself. But we do get more clues once we get to the 1-hour chart, because you could see the value area for the month, which is that gray box, which is what you just saw on the previous chart. And you could also see the value area for the week. So one of the things that I said in my morning note was that, hey, we need to get back above 569. We did that today. We just didn't really have any momentum to the upside, but we're kind of back where we were midday yesterday, and kind of flatlining a little bit. So that's the level that I'm watching to the downside, is called, it's 568.98, but I'm rounding 569, and that's my support. And then of course I would be watching, like the recent lows. Qs, let's do the same exercise, because the Qs actually had a little bit more of a bounce to them, a little bit more momentum. Again, it kind of fizzled. We didn't see much to the upside, I'll give you my reason why we didn't why we didn't see that. But we did close right back at the top of the value area. So no bearish 80% rule. 481.52. It's another level that I talked about in my morning note, saying, hey, price needs to get above that, or it's going to trigger what's known as the bearish 80% rule, looking for a move through the October value area. So we did close above there. And if you look to see why we really didn't do too much, is we're kind of caught in the middle today. And I didn't think I thought the bounce was very nice today. I took advantage a little bit of that. I had a day trade on in NVDA. I think because like I said, I'd like to strengthen the semis today. But for today, we'll see if we get any follow through, and I'll mention a name or two in that group. But see how prices kind of we got in here. Well, this was yesterday, but we got in here and we got rejected like right at this 483.45 level. This is the value area for the week. So this little resistance, just price didn't have it there wasn't enough buyers to kind of push us back inside the value area for the week. So price for now is caught in the middle because we're below the value area for the week. That's the yellow box, and we're above value for the month, which I went over on the previous chart, just barely for both of these. So I think it's important to kind of look for a little bit of direction here. You don't have to try to guess. I know everybody on Twitter likes to guess, and then they come out with they come out with a prediction in each way. They hedge themselves, and then when whatever way it breaks in, then they do victory laps. I'm not really into that type of thing. You may be when people give you all kinds of predictions like that all over the place so that they can retweet themselves and talk about how great they were. I'm basically waiting for the break. Small caps ended up, I think, in the red, but off the lows. This is just very difficult. I continue to think that this is very difficult. We're into the 20-day moving average. Also, there's some support with the 50-day moving average, so it's possible that we get a bounce again, but probably just a bounce at this point. All right, so I mentioned a couple things that I was watching for the day. Let's start with the semiconductors. I like this Taiwan semiconductor. I did not do anything with it today. I I don't love this up here, kind of, a little bit of a lower high. But it had such a nice move. I would watch to see if it can get back above its value area. Taiwan Semi is one of my favorites in the group. It's also above the 20-day moving average. I'll go over NVIDIA for you too, because just very short-term stuff. I just was looking for a day trade. I was looking for it yesterday too, because it's got overhead resistance up at 121, which is still 1.8% above. All right, a couple stocks that I thought were very interesting for the day, and then I'll talk about a sector just a bit. But I really like the Palantir candle for today. Right, this is a name that, of course, was being added, was added to the S&P, hence all that volume that you saw about a week and a half ago. And it's just been digesting. I think it got one like broker downgrade, but notice it really didn't fall too far. Waited for the 20-day moving average to kind of catch up. And I would be looking for follow through activity to the upside. I know a lot of people were talking about Salesforce today, which got an upgrade today. Really nice, for a day that we didn't do too much. I think it filled this gap back in here, but that's a nice little cup, and handle. So I would put that name on your watch list for tomorrow. I like the private equity names. Again, they had a little bit of a bounce there at the 20-day moving average, right? Which is where we want to see what happens, right? Breakout, digestion, back into the 20-day moving average, and then we want to see a move back above. And I think it's the same thing for KKR. I think KKR is actually stronger, even though less of a dip. So stronger looking, right? And this gets back above 131. We could talk a little bit about energy because it's seeing a heck of a lot of call buying, right? So XLE, still a messy looking chart, but the big yellow box that you see there on the bottom, that's the yearly value area, and it kind of shapes up a little bit when you look at it this way, right? So when you kind of look at sideways, 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 maybe this is due to kind of move back or test those highs. Out of the names that I wrote about this in my morning note. I did take a position yesterday in Exxon, and again, when you look, I'm on the weekly chart, so again, this is kind of longer term stuff. But I think, it might be on the cusp of names do this, by the way. They go sideways. They have a big up move. They go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, frustrate the hell out of everybody. And then they eventually start to take that next leg higher. That's what I'm looking for. And Exxon, don't know if I'll get it, but TRGP is another one that it's very interesting. There's been a handful of energy names that have been a bit stronger than like the overall ETF. But by the way, the ETF saw a pretty decent sized call. The ETF XLE saw a pretty big call spread going out to December. I think it was the 95-105 call spread traded in decent size today. But there's TRGP. I got long this name right around the open. It was a name that I was watching. It was on our watch list and executed that. Here is our watch list, by the way. You can kind of see I've been adding, like I only brought this many names back from last week. And of those names, the only one that's done well is FTAI, which I did get long. And by the way, that name's back to sneaky today because I think it was down yesterday. I got long on Monday, and it had this inside type candle, but back to new highs for FTAI. So I try to take some of these names. I took a very tiny position in this YRD. It was the only China name that I had on the watch list going into the week, and look at it, up 35%. I did get long some of this, the option activity has been kind of helping me get into some of these names that are already up so much. But I got out of this TIGR today. I was up like 35% in this thing. Look at the VPOC takeout in this thing. So again, if you zoom out, you're going to see that there's much higher prices for these things like this. Futu has been on an absolute tear, but at this point, if you've been managing to stay in some of these China names, congratulations. It's hard for me to do it, and it's hard for me to do it to kind of chase after so many days of an up move. I mean, I probably, like many others, would like to see some digestion at this point, but hey, you may not get it. But hey, this was a real nice trade, but nice move out of the valuary for the year and for the month, and perfect up to VPOC. And again, I think you have to be careful with this stuff with the FOMO, right? If you could catch a couple of these things for up 30, 35% in a couple days, right? Forget about trying to think about, oh, I could have got rich doing this. Hey, up 35%. I did that in LI too. And of course it kept going on me, but still, like, that was the first one that I saw option activity in. And so you can't do the coulda, woulda, shoulda type thing. That's not going to help you when you're trading. But this thing was a great move. So I can get this centered. I don't know why it's not. But yeah, I mean, I sold this, I think, right at the bottom of the value area on this day because I got long right in here, and it went twice as high. So in any event, let's see if they kind of come back or come in a little bit and cool off. The volume has been ridiculous in single names, as well as the ETFs, as well as the leverage names. So huge momentum in this stuff. I mentioned FTIA. I mentioned, of course, the YRD pops out. TRGP, again, if it triggers, I'm going to give it a try. I tried Nucor earlier in the week and kind of bailed on it. But that name is also has triggered as well. Carvana's are on a list, and like I said, I've got a few other names that I am watching for into tomorrow. I mentioned the private equity name, so yeah, I'll leave it there for now. Guys, have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow.